First City Council meeting to order. This meeting is presided over by the Honorable Mayor Robert Odekirk. Our prayer this evening will be said by Dr. Daniel Diss of the Grace United Methodist Church, and then afterwards, Pastor, if you would lead us in the pledge.
Let us pray. Holy God, maker and creator of all, as our government gathers this night, we pray your blessing upon those who represent us, that they might be men and women who seek equity, justice, and peace, whose only goal is to serve the common good. Work through them to establish your will in this community. These things we ask. Amen. If you join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, thank you.
Pastor. It's your pleasure.
Start with roll call. Mayor Odekirk.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Here.
Councilman Girl.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilman McFarland.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman. Here. Councilman Turk.
Here.
First under Mayor Odekirk appointments.
None.
None this evening. Are there any citizens to be heard on agenda items this evening? Seeing none, next is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. Council committee reports. Economic Development Committee report.
The Economic Development Committee met here at City Hall on the 23rd, a couple of days before Thanksgiving. In attendance was myself, Councilman Mudrin, Councilman Morris. Mayor Odekirk was also there, as was Councilwoman Quillman. Short agenda, long meeting. We essentially had two items. One was the ongoing incentive request by Hospitality Guru. It was more of an update, and there was nothing really to report. It was discussed, and it's still a work in progress. And then there was some incentive requests by Hero West, which was essentially, they had asked us to consider incentives if the off-track betting facility were to move on and they wanted to expand. We asked them some questions concerning it, didn't get enough information at the time, and remanded it back to staff to discuss. And then we did review the City Center Partnership Plan, City Center Plan, I'm sorry, particularly our list of 9. That's what I'm looking for.
Priorities.
Priorities, thank you, Mayor. That's the first time in a long time I was without words. We did arrange the 9. We got quite a bit of community input. There was a number of people. It was a full room. We got input from council members and input from staff, and I'm sure, Jim, you'll be adding that to the packet at some point with the reworked. I will say number 1 was reconnecting Chicago Street. That was definitely what we as a committee recommended, and then the other 9 followed. Other than that, as we discussed, we didn't have any new or old business after that, and we adjourned. That's my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Public Service Committee report.
Public Service met prior to this council meeting. Committee members include Councilman Gavin, Councilman Hug. We reviewed all contracts, change orders, past minutes, final payments, ordinances, resolutions that are on the agenda for this evening. There's a couple items that I'd like to bring to your attention that's up for approval this evening. One is the initiative to be a little more proactive in our approach to snow removal. This evening, we will be voting to purchase 6 self-loading de-icing spray systems, which is on the agenda this evening for approval. Also, I'd like to bring to your attention an update to ordinances clarifying the engineering review fee. We did pass an ordinance, I believe it was about a year and a half ago, instituting an engineering review fee. to help offset the cost that it is from our staff actually reviewing plans that are brought in. After being enacted for a year with public input, staff went back and kind of tweaked it and amended it so it's a little more fair and a little more business-friendly. So that is on the agenda this evening for review. Lastly, we went through some final bids, and one that's on for approval this evening, which I believe there was a brief article in the newspaper on, is a contract for lawn maintenance and cleanup of city-owned and lawn mowing of non-city-owned properties. And I think Mr. Malesio is just going to give us a little bit of an update on this contract. And I think what's, when he's completed, Betty, if you want to maybe touch base a little bit on this great initiative that's going to be up for approval tonight. Certainly. Alfredo?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, what you have before you is, in simplest terms, is an extension, a one-year extension with the option for a third for all our existing contracts for cutting of city-owned properties and also cutting of what we call the special weed list for properties that just go uncut throughout the city. We did this bid package in the spring. During this past summer, A&R Lawn Service, along with the ministry at his local church, came to us and asked us to look at extending the contracts in an effort to concentrate on workforce development that he was proposing. Obviously, we currently don't have any grant funding for any type of initiative like this. And so because we had received pretty good bids in our process this spring, we said, well, what if we extended it? And if we extend it for you, we should extend it for everybody else. And so that's what you have before you, is basically a one-year extension that actually kills two birds with one stone, in that we are able to lock in these prices for at least another year, and also allow Mr. Heath to have some benchmarks and some really building on the local initiative that he has. And so that is what you have before you today.
Thank you. Do you want to piggyback at all?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't want to say Madam Chair. But I just wanted to sort of piggyback on it. We had an opportunity to listen to a proposal. The Diversity and Community Relations Committee entertained a proposal from Redeem Connection Ministries. And on that committee sits Councilman Morris and Councilwoman Quillman. And it's a great opportunity that I believe that the city will be partnering with the extension of the contract, is to be able to create workforce development for our young people during these summer months and cutting the city-owned properties. And so I believe with the program that is outlined by Redeem Connections, we'll be able to create about 10 jobs. 10 certified workers will come out of the program. And it's a great opportunity for us to provide that type of workforce development for our young people. You know me, I'm also always an optimist in this. I can see this thing expand, and I believe Councilwoman was on the same page. We sort of said, well, we'll look at it for the year. They will hit the benchmarks, I'm sure, and then we could probably see this program expand so we can get more opportunities for our young people. So I wanted to especially thank Redeem Connections, Pastor Heath, with your initiative. And I also wanted to thank you for your passion in this, because you're taking the contract funds, which are yours, and you are sharing this with young people in the community to get them better work skills and workforce development. So thank you very much for that.
Mayor, that concludes the public service report.
Thank you. I want to compliment your committee, Councilwoman Gavin. I know it's something we all talked, or a lot of us talked about during the campaign, but you actually put it into action. So thank you and good work.
Thank you.
show no other reports. Under consent agenda, approval of minutes. It's recommended the minutes of the pre-council meetings held on October 5th, 19th, and November 16th, 2015. The minutes of the regular meetings held on October 20th and November 17th, 2015, and the minutes of the special meeting held on October 26th, 2015 stand approved as recorded. Council Memo 610-15, regular payroll for October 16th through the 29th, 2015, $3,162,356.94. It's recommended said regular payroll be approved. And Council Memo 611-15, position vacancies. It's recommended the city manager be authorized to fill one part-time custodian position in administrative services, one maintenance worker in the roadways division, and any subsequent vacancies, and one wastewater plant operator 2 position in public utilities and subsequent vacancies. Is there a motion to approve said consent agenda items?
Mayor,
Yes.
on council minutes from November 17th, I would like to amend my vote from a aye vote to a nay vote on memos 5, 6, and 7.
Okay, is there any objection from the council, the Councilwoman Quillman changing her aye vote to a nay vote on council memos 605-15 through 607-15?
I'll second it.
No, it just says, is there any, if she wants, if there's a change in vote, it has to be by, without objection.
Any objection?
Would you like me to read the titles, or
I'm sorry?
do you need the titles written or read, or no?
Yeah, for the record, it's
Okay.
probably.
Council Memo 605-15 is a request for authorization to award a contract for the development, layout, printing, and mailing of the citywide newsletter. Council Memo 606-15 is a request for authorization to purchase replacement streetlights and poles at the East Side wastewater treatment plant. And Council Memo 607-15 is a request for authorization to purchase work order asset management and citizen request management system.
Does this change the final?
It would make it a 4-4 vote, so it would come to me at that point.
And then if that's the case, then the mayor would vote.
And what about reconsideration of bringing this back later if it goes
And
down?
if hypothetically, if there was a no vote, then they would probably be brought back separate on the next agenda.
So a couple weeks, the next December council meeting?
December
17th.
Because I felt we really should have voted on those separately anyway in the first place. And after seeing last night's budget, I just can't in good conscience vote for all 3 of those as a package.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, Councilwoman Quillman's aye vote has been changed to a nay on those 3 items. Now it comes to me for a vote.
Yeah, now it comes, you can, well, that's a, what a,
It would be a 4-4 vote, 4 ayes and 4 nays, then with the change.
Well, Jim, if I can add, I understand where Councilwoman Quillman's coming from. We made a major expenditure before seeing a budget, which has called for some drastic measures, including a tax increase. Having said that, if I stop this, if I vote no, realistically, what does that do to your staff or to, I assume that you've taken action on some of these items since the vote.
I can tell you that we have not, we have signed the contract with Baycor to assist with the installation of that software, but we have not signed the contract actually with the company, the software company, to purchase it. I don't recall, since the last meeting, signing the agreement for the street lighting at the wastewater treatment plant or the city newsletter at this point in time.
If this were kicked back to the 17th, does it hamper the city or your staff in any way?
Not these 3 items. I do have a concern in terms of establishing a precedent because, quite frankly, if I have signed the agreement for the newsletter or the any of those 3, what kind of situation does that put the city in or administration, having signed the contract when suddenly the motion will be changed 2 weeks from now saying, don't enter that contract? I mean, we could end up in litigation with somebody where we've already signed the contract to purchase something, and we try and back out of it 2 weeks, 4 weeks later.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Well, frankly, since we got the budget at such a last minute, and it was such a dire budget, and we were kind of rushed into putting these three in, and I did check to see if anything was signed yet before I made this public decision, and nothing had been signed. Now, this is the first I'm hearing what you did sign. So precedent, maybe it is precedent, but we haven't been in such dire straits as we are right now. And after reviewing this, after what I saw last night, I cannot in good conscience vote yes for that right now.
Mayor?
Yes.
I will say too, you know, in Councilwoman Quillman's defense, I mean, motions to reconsider are not that uncommon. I mean, they happen. Things do change. And I don't know if you've signed any contracts or not, but that notwithstanding, obviously, if you've signed some contracts, then possibly there could be, you know, some issues there. But if no contracts have been signed, I mean, you know, motions to reconsider are not that uncommon, and because new facts and, you know, do come to light, and at times elected officials decide to exercise that right, and I think Councilman Quillman has that right, and she's doing it right now. So I don't view this as that extraordinary. So just my opinion.
Thank you, Councilman.
Well, if a contract hasn't been signed, I don't think it's wrong to reconsider the motion. So I'm gonna vote no, and we can address this in the next meeting on the 17th. You haven't said that, was there a reason why this was packaged and not in three separate issues? Was there a reason why it was done that way?
Well, typically on every agenda, we put all the contracts together, and when we approve the agenda at the beginning of the meeting, if any council member wants to pull off any one or two or three agenda items to discuss them independent of all the rest, you're free to do that and make that point. It's not even a motion. We just have you ask that that be voted on separately, and then we'll group the rest of them together and discuss those separately at that meeting.
Well, you know, I apologize that it went this way, because I don't want it to be jerking staff around in any way, and it's kind of happening here. But having said that, I think a no vote would be proper at this time, and we can readdress this at the next meeting.
So at the next council meeting, all three of these issues, again, will appear under award of contracts, and at the beginning of the meeting, if you want to vote for any one of those independently, at the time we approve the agenda, ask that it be pulled off independent for a separate vote.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It sounds like you might want to make that decision now, based on the discussion here. So I would separate them all independently. Mr. Hahn.
Thank you, Mayor.
Krista?
Okay, so with the mayor's vote, it is denied, so we will bring it back at the next meeting to be voted on separately, and we will change the minutes to reflect that. We do need a motion to approve the consent agenda items with the changes for the November 17th meeting.
Need a motion? So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve said consent agenda items. Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Girl,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman McFarland,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman,
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under ordinances and resolutions, ordinances, Council Memo 613-15, an ordinance clarifying the engineering review fee.
Mayor,
Yes.
in review of this ordinance, excuse me, as I mentioned last night, this is an ordinance that we're proposing council to adopt that establishes an engineering review fee for preliminary plats, final plat, recording plat in general developments, but also in further review and implementation for a few months. We're also proposing to reduce the engineering fee for site plan reviews or engineering review fees. keeping it 2.5% for those projects under $500,000, then dropping it down to 1.75% for $500,000 to $1 million, 1% between $1 million and $2 million, and 0.25% for those over $2 million.
Entertain a motion to approve.
Second?
It's a motion and seconded to approve said ordinance. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye?
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 614-15, an ordinance approving a preliminary plat of Center Point Business Center I-80 Phase 4 subdivision, and an ordinance approving a recording plat of Center Point Business Center I-80 Phase 4 subdivision.
So moved.
Second?
Mayor, as a review of this, this is a preliminary plan and recording plat for Center Point Business. It's existing property along Route 6. The Koala Tank Washing Business will take up approximately 7 acres on Lot 1, and includes storage of just cleaned trucks, 147 trucks, and the other 58 additional acres will remain undeveloped at this time. And this is, I believe, next door to the Caterpillar property there.
Been motioned and seconded to approve said ordinance. Councilman Hug.
Aye?
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 615-15, an ordinance approving a vacation of a 20-foot wide public utility and drainage easement located at the southwest corner of Hennepin Drive and Louis Joliet Mall Entrance Road 6. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
If I can just point out to you that this is a long-term Hilton Hotel, kind of like Marriott has the Courtyards concept. This is a new concept by Hilton Hotels, Homes to Suites. And this is 2 lots where there's a drainage easement between them approximately 20 feet wide, and they want to put the building right in the middle of the combined 2 lots. So they're asking us to vacate that 20-foot wide by 238-foot utility easement.
This has been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye?
Motion carried. Council Memo 616-15, an ordinance amending Chapter 19, Article 1, adoption of Illinois Vehicle Code, blocking streets, truck routes, overweight and overlength permits and penalties. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second?
I'm going to defer to the city attorney on this ordinance.
Okay, this section, I'm just going to run through this quickly. Section 19.1, adoption of the Illinois Vehicle Code, clarifies that City of Joliet officers can write all misdemeanor and traffic violations, including license suspended and driving under the influence, as local ordinance violation for prosecution by the city as opposed to prosecution by the Will County State's Attorney's Office. These cases would be prosecuted at the courthouse, and then fines from local ordinance violations would be returned to the city. Section 19-3, blocking streets with railroad trains is what's existing now. A number of years ago, a court has ruled this type of ordinance to be unconstitutional by it. It wasn't the city of Joliet, it was a different municipality. So even though the city has not been enforcing this particular ordinance, the best practice is to delete it and then replace it with an ordinance that makes it a violation to block city streets due to the operation of second division motor vehicles. And then after going to committee, they recommended a $500 penalty, which has been inserted into this. There's been some issues in the city with the trucks getting off route and blocking the city streets. There was actually one not too long ago where it broke in half, and it took quite a while for this to get off the road, or knocking down a pole. And what this does is, all it does is gives the officers who are on scene another option for writing violations. And just to make it clear, trucks traveling through the city, so long as they're on the designated truck routes, you know, Route 30 for example, or Route 53, are still allowed to go through the city without a permit, so long as the vehicle weight does not exceed 80,000 pounds or overweight on an axle. Otherwise, they have to obtain a city permit. And this also still allows trucks to make deliveries from the city, from these designated truck routes, onto any local roads, so long as they take the shortest permissible route, and again, the vehicle does not exceed 80,000 pounds or overweight on an individual axle. And what the ordinance does do is it sets a fee provision for allowing a permit, and that's set in sections 19-22 through 19-24. And those permits are as follows: for limited continuous operation transporting grain, $50 daily, $250 weekly, $500 monthly, and then the specific roads, and then non-divisible loads, and those are big pieces of equipment, and then they're set forth in there. Right now, the city does not charge for those, so this would be a new provision. It kind of summarizes the.
Yes.
I know we reviewed this in committee. And my only question was, once we enact this, how do we then get this in the hands of law enforcement to make sure they know these updates, that we're actually making sure these folks are permitting their overweight vehicles? And I see there's an amendment for over the length.
Over length,
Trucks?
yes.
Correct.
Right, or like I said, right now, the city doesn't charge for those, and that's,
Correct, but how are we making sure the law enforcement knows these new provisions and we're enforcing it?
law enforcement actually helped me draft it, the officers for the trucks, the overweight truck officers, they're the ones that helped me put this together, so.
If I could, Councilman, it would be a training issue internally. Once this is enacted as an ordinance, then we would implement the training protocols and make sure that all the officers are well-versed in it.
Thank you. I take it the permits then go through the city clerk's office? Is that where the permitting's gonna take place?
We haven't decided yet. It may be in the roadways division of engineering. I think that's where it's handled right now. But it's been handled there because there hasn't been any cash transaction. So we'll determine where that's handled.
So once this is enacted, or once it's approved, when's it begin, January 1?
Well, it probably will be after the permit process has been implemented, which is probably gonna take a little bit of time. I don't know if we can pull it together in 3 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to make a note that the ordinance change also exempts any contractor that's doing any work for the city, on behalf of the city. Because we'd be just charging ourselves.
I'm sure the paper will be more than happy to publicize when we're gonna put it into effect.
This was motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
I vote aye, and I want to thank staff for updating this ordinance and trying to control the issues we have citywide with trucks that are overweight but just driving through our entire city on residential streets.
Motion carried. Under resolutions, Council Memo 617-15, a resolution authorizing execution on amended economic incentive agreement between the City of Joliet and Joliet Hotels LLC, Hospitality Guru.
Entertain a motion to table?
Second.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to table Council Memo 617-15. Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Motion carried. Under bids and contracts, award of contracts, Council Memo 618-15, purchase a de-icer spray package for 1-ton vehicles, roadways division. Council Memo 619-15, purchase water meters and smart point radios. Council Memo 620-15, award a contract for the Well 23D Rehabilitation Project. Council Memo 621-15, award a contract for the Sodium Permanganate Solution Purchase 2016. Council Memo 622-15, award a contract for the Blended Phosphate Solution Purchase 2016. Council Memo 623-15, award a contract for the Manganese Sulfate Purchase 2016. Council Memo 624-15, award a contract for the Sodium Hypochlorite Solution Purchase 2016. Council Memo 625-15, award contracts for the 2016 Biosolids Disposal Program. Council Memo 626-15, award a contract for the professional services for radiological testing for the Public Utilities Department 2016. Council Memo 627-15, award a contract for the 2016 wastewater treatment plant refuse disposal contract. Council Memo 628-15, approve public utilities electrical maintenance service contract 2016. Council Memo 629-15, renew contracts for lawn mowing of city-owned properties and the lawn mowing and cleanup of non-city-owned properties. Council Memo 630-15, award a contract for managed print services. It's recommended Council Memo 618-15 through 630-15 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
I'm going to vote aye, but Jim Egan, for the council memos that have the contracts for the chemicals for the water, can you put together something showing what type of an increase that is from last year, how much more we're paying percentage-wise?
Yeah, I could put that together for you.
All right, thank you. Vote aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
You know, question 629, I know it was Councilman McFarland's report, Alfredo spoke about it and Councilwoman Coleman, but at the committee meeting, it was, I just wanted to follow up. Alfredo, I think, was supposed to check to see if Reverend Heath would be able to get some funds in that contract ahead of time. I know Reverend Heath was here, and he should have spoke earlier about it and citizens to be heard, but I just wanted to make sure that that's going to be talked about with staff. I know you said we had to check with the council about that.
I think I told Mr. Heath a little while ago that we'd sit down and work with him, and there are some things we can do administratively as we move forward. And so I told him, yes, we would sit down and talk about how that would lay out. And obviously, we want to be careful, but yes, we're going to be able to do that.
Right, okay. I just wanted to, I know it wasn't mentioned today in any of the reports or when you had spoke about that, because I too think it's a very good program and gesture by Reverend Heath, and I just, as I said in the committee, I don't want to set them up to fail. So whatever the city can do to, help him along, I think would be greatly appreciated by Reverend Heath as well as the people that he will be helping. I vote aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Amendments, change orders, and payments. Council Memo 632-15, approve Amendment Number 4 to the professional services contract for the structural review and construction phase engineering for the Centerpoint Intermodal Center North Bridges structures. Council Memo 633-15, approve change order Number 3 and payment request Number 9 and final for the Cherry Hill Road and New Lenox Road roadway improvements project 2014. Council Memo 634-15, approved change order Number 2 and payment request Number 8 and final for the Eastern Avenue Stone Street roadway improvements project 2014. Council Memo 635-15, approve amendment Number 4 and payment request Number 13 and final for the professional services contract for Phase 3 engineering for the Cherry Hill Road and New Lenox Road roadway improvements project 2014. And Council Memo 636-15, payment for emergency network repairs. It's recommended Council Memo 632-15 through 636-15 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under City Manager, Council Memo 638-15, Evergreen Terrace, one-for-one replacement plan.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'd just like to review a little bit the Evergreen Terrace, what's currently going on, and what is we refer to as the one-for-one replacement program. As you know, earlier this year, we received a favorable jury settlement award on the price of Evergreen Terrace, a bit over $15 million. And that gave us the right, also the right to condemn Evergreen Terrace. And the reason, of course, that we're condemning it is to eliminate blight and influence the neighborhood and provide decent, safe housing for the residents there. Now, since 2011, HUD had withheld CDBG funds for each of those years, and we're looking to request from HUD to use $3,292,683 of those withheld funds, which they've now released, towards the purchase of Evergreen Terrace. So when you're using CDBG funds, there's normally what is referred to as a one-for-one replacement, so that if you're going to voucher a person and move them away from the site, then you also have to then replace that on site. But I do want to point out that a one-for-one replacement program, this plan is not a relocation plan for the Evergreen Terrace residents. Again, we're in the process of establishing a third-party entity with Holston Management Group, and also a contract for Holston Management to manage the site at a future date. But we do have the option, once it is decided what we are going to do on the site, to allow for vouchers up to 241 units to be off that site. So what we are doing here is showing that we've identified at least 532 sites or replacement units, the timeline and the size in accordance with HUD's requested and statutory requirements for 1 and 2 and 3 bedroom units elsewhere throughout Will County, Kendall County, and the city of Joliet. And so we've provided attachments to the addendum showing in Figure A on page 4, we provide 241 units, and Figure B, it provides an additional 532, and along with that, we've also provided ownership, and we're looking over the period of years that they've also withheld those funds, an additional 52 single-family units. So this is the purpose for this is to just announce this publicly at the meeting tonight. This information is available. Again, it's not establishing a plan for vouchering out any of those residents. That will be discussed as required at a future date, and it would be following the formation of the third-party entity and the agreement with Holston to manage the properties.
Yes.
So if I understand this correctly, Jim, if we approve the $3.292 million, basically what we're saying is we can use that money towards the redevelopment of Evergreen, but we need to then construct new replacement housing on that site?
No, what we're saying is that we already have sites within Will County, Kendall County, and also the city for those 241 if we decide to voucher out all of those residents.
Correct, but not back on the Evergreen property site.
That's right.
Because I thought originally
They're
when
elsewhere within the county, within the two counties, as well as the city.
I think Councilman Hug brought this up originally when we were talking about Evergreen, where we were told that if we use the CDBG money, we had to then do development back onto the property. Has that changed?
This is part of an appeal that we're making to HUD that would allow us to spend that approximately $3 million towards the purchase of Evergreen Terrace.
So if-
Reduce the $15 million by
three.
$3.3 million.
What if they deny or appeal on this issue?
Well, then we have a period of time that we have to spend that $3.2 million elsewhere within defined areas of the community.
My concern, I guess, my only concern is if we approve this, are we locking the city's hands into redeveloping these units back onto the Evergreen site?
No, we are not.
Okay.
No. What we're saying is that there are sites available for those people should we decide that we're going to voucher out up to the 241 in accordance with the agreement we have with HUD.
Thank you.
My question is, are we saying sites are available, or are we taking responsibility to provide those sites?
No, we're saying those sites are available. Alfredo, maybe you can clarify that for me.
Yeah, so this is, the replacement plan is sort of an accounting, when you use CDBG funds and you have we have the ability, per the settlement agreement, to demolish up to 241 units. You have to be able to show that 241 units of affordable housing are being created, HUD calls it within your jurisdiction. Loosely, the CPD staff has asked us to do an accounting of the jurisdiction of Will and Kendall County. We also went further to provide the number of units existing and planned for just Will County and also for just Joliet proper. And so what you see is a lot of units of affordable housing are already created. We're already there. And this gives us the ability to sort of preserve that ability in the settlement agreement to demolish up to that many units. We could decide as a community that we don't want as many. We could decide as a community that when we get to a certain number of viable replacement units that we don't want to demolish anymore. So this is an attempt to be able to use that full 3.3 million on sort of a reimbursement for that acquisition and to show that these affordable units are being created in the community. One of the things I do want to point out is a lot of these are existing, Hope Manor is in this development. It is a project that is being funded. It's going to be closed pretty soon. But there's also units that count just from private developers who have bought foreclosures, have rehabbed them, and have basically the rents they're charging makes them an affordable unit. Now, we have to go through the process of documenting that, and every time we get one, that's 1 unit, 1 2 unit, 1 3 unit, 1 2 unit, 1 3 unit. But before we go through that and document that for HUD, we want to make sure that they're okay with this replacement plan that we're submitting to them. And I just want to reiterate what the city manager said. This administrative move does not require the mayor and city council to vote on it. We've been doing this in cooperation with HUD. We have to provide it at a public meeting, and then we submit it to HUD, and then they respond to us.
Mayor? Yes. Did I understand right? The allocation of the $3.2 million in community development block grants, which is specifically earmarked to cover all blighted areas in the city, does not need approval by this council to focus on a 1 block or 2 block area? Did I understand that right?
I'm sorry if I misspoke. You're not, we've already approved a con plan for the use of the funds for Evergreen Terrace. The council did that. This plan is a replacement, I'm sorry, the 1-for-1 replacement plan is required by HUD in order to use those funds. And at some future date, the decision to use it or not is entirely up to the council. That's not what is before us tonight. But
No, it's
it has
before
been
us.
set aside, though, in the con plan that has already been approved, though.
To be clear, it's before us, as we continue through this process. What's before us is the allocation of citywide funds for the other blighted areas for a 2 block area. We need to be clear on that. That's what's being considered. Should HUD approve this appeal, saying we can use the 3.2 million for the Evergreen Terrace project, that's money that won't be spread throughout the rest of the city. And we know that Evergreen is not the only blighted area. So I just want to be clear on that with the public.
I don't know if all I'm trying to clarify
There's no
is.
question in that.
Okay, sorry.
Councilman?
Yeah, just a couple things, pick up on what Councilman Hug said, just so I'm clear. I actually don't think on the 3.2 million, we're not allocating those dollars right now towards Evergreen Terrace. All we're doing is the one-for-one plan, which Alfredo explained to us, which the way I understand it is, if we voucher out the 241 units at Evergreen Terrace, we're just basically informing HUD or telling HUD that we have another 241 units in our jurisdiction as far as for affordable housing. Correct, Alfredo?
Correct. Actually, the number for the
And we're not
jurisdiction.
creating that, we're just saying it's already there. We're not creating additional, we're just informing them, hey, look, it's already there.
It's already there, it's planned,
there.
and
Okay.
we are tapping out at like over 500.
Right. So basically, the 3.2 million, this, by doing this, by assuring HUD that we already have 241 units of affordable housing, they're saying, okay, that's fine, you can now use the $3.2 million towards the purchase price of Evergreen Terrace. And I'm assuming if, as a council, we decide to do that at some later date, since we've already given them 15 million, this 3.2 million can be used in the general fund if we chose. I mean, we could just take it back or reimburse ourselves for the 15 million, correct?
In essence, yes.
Okay,
Right.
all right, thank you.
Mayor?
Yeah, follow up. Alfredo, just so I'm clear, and I want to make sure that we're not committing ourselves. You're saying today there's 500 units available. 3 years from now, we implement this and we start moving people out. If there aren't 500 units available, say there's 200, are we responsible to provide 41 new units because of this commitment that we're making?
I'm trying to find, actually, at this point, what is documented, and this is a one-for-one replacement plan, so there are units that are existing and units that are planned. What we have calculated and we are submitting to HUD is that we are at 186. I'm sorry. We're saying that 283 have already been have created in comparable size in terms of bedrooms already in the Joliet, Will, and Kendall County area. We further break that down to be 97 in Joliet and 186 in Kendall County. That's on page 3, right in the center there. And so we are actually, if HUD approves this plan and we do use the funds for the reimbursement of Evergreen Terrace, well, then the answer is no, because we just need to document the 283. If they, for some reason, come back and say, well, they have to be located in Will County or they have to be located in Joliet or some other stipulation, I really don't know how they're going to respond to our plan. Then we would know up front those are the number of units that we have to provide that we are short from this, what I'm saying is already existing.
Right, but the 283 exist. Do we know if they're, well, we don't know if they're filled or not now, or what, if they'll be filled in 3 years. Say 250 of them are filled, and then they're no longer available. They exist, but they're not available. Are we on the hook as a city to provide replacement housing? Because we've committed ourselves to this, but it is not available for the people we're trying to move.
So the one-for-one replacement plan is not a relocation plan. A relocation plan would come into effect at a later date when we do decide how many units, how many residents are being relocated. Most of the residents are gonna, all the residents are gonna receive vouchers to move where they wanna move. We aren't gonna be providing any hard units unless we dip below the 115 in the settlement. So we're not gonna have to provide more than 241 unless we don't have to provide any unless we dip below the 115.
Okay, so this is just, I don't know what the.
So we could, in essence, voucher out the 241, and they can take that voucher any place.
Wherever they want, they can go out of City Joliet, they can go to,
That's right.
California.
That's right. And we don't have to provide replacement housing. It's only if we want to voucher out more than that number that we have to provide replacement homes.
even if there is no housing available?
We would have to create them, yes.
That's my question. So
And-
this does bind us then.
But we're already bound in the agreement with HUD. That's in our agreement, that the settlement that we had is that we can voucher out that 241. They can move wherever they want, but if we want to go below that number, there's 117 units, I think?
115.
115, that if we wanted to have those people move off of the site, then we have to provide the housing.
Well, the reason why I'm being a stickler, it sounds great to say they can move anywhere, but the reality is, there's a 600 or 700 family waiting list to get inside Evergreen. So there isn't housing available anywhere these people want. There's people trying to get inside this place. So I don't want to take any step where we're going to have to come back a couple years from now and say, okay, because we agreed to this, now we're going to be further in the housing business, building houses or managing other housing projects or properties throughout the city or throughout Will or Kendall County. And maybe I'm unclear, but the housing isn't available for people like has been set up here. If it was, there wouldn't be people waiting to get into Evergreen Terrace.
The residents of Evergreen Terrace will have something that the folks on that waiting list do not, and that they will have a voucher. And so there are folks looking for housing, and the discussion of a housing, a subsidy housing shortage is real. There's no doubt about that. The amount of folks that are looking for a subsidy, there's obviously, you quote a number, I don't know that number, but of folks waiting to get into Evergreen. But when Evergreen Terrace residents are relocated, they will have something that none of them have, which is a voucher to move into the community, into anywhere they want to. And they will receive housing counseling, similar to what residents are receiving currently in Des Plaines Gardens.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just so I'm clear.
Sure.
So I think we're talking about two different things, maybe. The people that's on the waiting list at Evergreen Terrace do not have a voucher. So
Correct.
they're looking for a place to stay that's be subsidized. So once the council would decide to relocate or have people move out of Evergreen, they would be given a voucher. And then I guess, just as you stated, Alfredo, just so I'm clear, and with my conversation with Mr. Simonton, the people that has moved out of Des Plaines Gardens so far has not had a hard time finding a place to stay. It's just where they want to stay. It's affordable housing there because they have a voucher. It's just a matter of where they want to stay. And I guess to the point where he says that they may have 3 places to stay and it's hard to choose where to stay. So I guess the market is there at this time. But going back to what the mayor said, in 2 years from now, it may not be there. But HUD is just wanting to know, is it there now, I guess? Is that what we showing them, what's available now?
Correct. What's available now and what's planned to be created.
In the next year or 2.
Correct. We are actually able to count the redevelopment of Des Plaines as well.
So as long as we don't go below the 115, the city doesn't have to build or give anyone any housing
That's correct.
from the city, as long as we don't go below 115. But the 200 can go, as it's been said, anywhere in the country. Okay, so I think I'm clear.
Thank you.
Including Alaska
Or Hawaii.
or Hawaii.
Just to be clear, there's a lot of additional information brought up by the mayor, Councilman Morris. This proposal is designed to accomplish one thing. That's to get a waiver or an exception on the 1-for-1. If we do not apply for this and we use any HUD or CDBG money, the law requires that everything, once we introduce that money, that when we tear something down, we replace it on site. This proposal, Jim, is to convince them to give us a waiver and say you don't have to do that. They can go off-site, correct?
Yes.
That's
because
the sum total of
They've
this.
already been built, they're already
So
available.
we're convincing them to allow us to use money and not follow the standard regulations,
That's true.
okay?
Because
And we're
we've met the regulations. We're
For an
telling-
exception.
And we're showing them how we're meeting their regulations.
for an exception. We've met the regulations for an exception.
Yes.
And so therefore, they will give us permission without doing one for one. That's the whole goal.
Right.
To take citywide funds and focus them on two blocks. As I said earlier. Correct?
On the purchase of Evergreen Terrace.
So any other blight in the city will be ignored when it comes to that money. Just so we're clear and everybody watching understands that.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Jim, you don't need a vote on this?
No,
Okay,
it's just informational.
thank you.
I do have a request for a 2-minute closed session.
Famous last word.
Next is new business, not for final action or recommendation.
Yes.
Just like to give an update on a meeting that Mayor Odekirk and I attended today. It was actually a joint meeting between the county's Capital Improvements Committee and its Finance Committee. And the topic of the discussion was the courthouse. It was an excellent meeting that we attended. I'm certainly glad that we went. And basically, the county is moving forward with the, moving forward and in the process of defining how they're going to finance the new courthouse, which is going to be, as we've talked about here earlier, between $170 and $175 million state-of-the-art courthouse in downtown Joliet on the First Midwest Bank building site. It's going to house their criminal and their civil courts. And the mayor and I went. We were well received by the county, and they were pleased to know that the intergovernmental agreement that they had sent over has been reviewed by our attorney, Marty Shanahan. I know Marty sent back some very good comments back to the county, to their attorney, and I would hopeful that we might see this intergovernmental agreement come back to this council either at our next city council meeting on December 15th or possibly January 5th, 2016, our first meeting in January. But the county basically outlined a plan on how they were going to finance the courthouse. They are very excited about the opportunity to stay in Joliet, and we are very excited as a city to certainly have them invest these types of dollars within downtown Joliet. So again, it was a very productive meeting. It was very well ran, and again, I think we were very excited about the outcome and how the county is actually going to finance this state-of-the-art courthouse, and they are definitely moving forward, not only on that project, but many other projects as well, including the new sheriff's facility, which is also in Joliet. So, Mayor, I don't know if you want to add anything to that meeting, but
No.
I thought it went pretty well.
I thought it went well, too, and again, we were well received, so thank you to Councilman Girl for attending. Sure.
Any other
Anyone
new
else?
business? Next is public comments. We have Christopher Pedersen.
Statesman IFB Pro Christopher Del Person, 702 Vine Street, Illinois. To this distinguished body of councilmen and councilwomen, I want to address full council, legal counsel, and Chief City Manager James Hawk on the direction of the great city of Joliet, City Champions, Crossroads America, and the transportation grant that is being provided by the 115th Congress. I want to work with the 11th Congressional District Office and the City Council to finish off the intermodal hub in its entirety with the California link. If I could have council's full approval for the administration, I greatly appreciate it.
Anyone else for public comments?
Reverend Adrian Heath, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank the mayor, the council, the diversity committee, neighborhood services, Alfredo, and everyone for the opportunity for Redeemed Connections to partner and to be able to put forward this program. Again, I just wanted to say that this program will allow Redeemed Connections Ministries and our partners to create new job opportunities in the city of Joliet and surrounding areas, while potentially developing small business entrepreneurs and generating money for our residents, business and organizations within the community. And again, I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, next we have mayor and council comments.
I have none.
I have none, Your Honor.
Nothing.
No comment.
I just want to thank all those who took part in the Christmas parade last Friday. It was a great turnout, and looks like everybody had a good time.
A couple things. Number one, on November 20th, I attended a ribbon cutting out at Dick's Sporting Goods in DSW. I want to personally welcome them to Joliet and encourage our residents to consider patronizing them during this holiday season. They're a great addition to our city and the mall area. Councilwoman Gavin, on November 24th, you gave a food giveaway up at the Forest Park Center with Painters Union. I'm not sure what local.
Local 4?
Local 40.
Yeah.
It was very well attended. It was a great job. A great thing for the community to give away that type of food just prior to Thanksgiving. So thank you for your work. Last Friday, I took a tour of the Plaza Hotel here in downtown on Clinton Street. It had been about 20 years since I'd been in there as a police officer, and I have to commend the staff working over there at the fine job they're doing renovating that hotel and really trying to bring it up to, I guess, more acceptable standards of what it used to be. And I would encourage anyone on this council, if you're interested, to go down there and take a look. They could show you old rooms versus what they're doing with the new rooms and the new standards they're setting. I think they're doing a fine job. And I think that would be an important piece to solving some of the problems with downtown that have surrounded that hotel. So I give them credit for what they're doing there. I also, with Councilman Turk, want to thank the members of this council and the City Center Partnership for the parade on Friday. They did a great job, and thank you to all Joliet residents for attending and supporting the parade. There were well over 100 floats this year, so it went over very well, but thank you to the City Center Partnership for the work that they did. And then finally, Jim Trisna, publicly, I'd like to thank you, Mike Ulitz, and your staff, and all our road workers for the snow plow job they did a couple weeks ago. I think our residents were very happy with what had been done with the pre-plowing, the substance that was applied to the streets, and then the punctuality. I received a lot of compliments from people, people who said that they've never had plows on their side streets as quick as those plows were on. So, great job. Please keep up the good work. Hopefully, we don't need you anytime soon, but assuming we do, thank you. Please pass it along to your guys and women who work for you, and keep it up, please. That's all I have.
Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition, or conveyance pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will be adjourned?
So moved.
Second.
The motion seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hugg.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Just give me a date.
Okay.